Go for it.
Welcome to the Cash Flow Couple Podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Wendy Williams. Not here with my husband,
I'm here.
John, but he's not here. You're in way down in Florida and close to Tampa.
Yes. So I'm
So
in I'm in Tampa for Larry Harbolt's 4-day boot camp entitled "Never Step into a Bank Again."
never step into a bank again.
Yes, and those who are seeing this on video may notice that this is not who is usually sitting in this chair. This is
Nope.
not usually our background. This is usually Tyler from the Cashflow Guys background.
That's right. You are in the Cash Flow Guys studio.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so the story there is, as you guys know, Tyler's a mentor of ours. I'm down here in Tampa. He lives close to Tampa, and I'm staying in one of his Airbnbs. No, I did not get it free. I paid full price, but but I'm staying there in one of Tyler's Airbnb properties, and we needed to do a podcast, and he was very gracious to let me borrow his studio for those purposes. So hats off to Tyler. If you don't know Tyler, you should listen to his podcast if you're interested in real estate at all. It's thecashflowguys.com is his website, and his podcast is the Cashflow Guys. So I listen to that podcast personally, and I think it's really good. And I just want to give a shout out to him for allowing us to kind of use his stuff.
So you
He's got
got
a really
to,
great setup, by the way.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
badass right there.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's like all professional. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So hats
Yeah,
off to
you
Tyler.
yeah, you got to go have dinner with them, him and his wife. They're such nice people.
They really are. They're very genuine, very nice people. I consider them friends. I know you do too, but they're very gracious, and they're some of the best people you'd want to meet.
They really are.
Of course, funny story though. I'm talking to Wendy via text or whatever, and we've been going out to eat every night. We've been going to eat seafood, and like tonight we had Greek, and
I
last
don't want to
night.
hear about this crap.
I know. Well, that's what happens. Wendy's all nice during the day, and then I'm just telling her what's going on, because I kind of miss her, and I wish she was here, but. I'm not doing it to rub it in. I'm just checking in, saying,
Sure.
hey. So every time I text about dinner and where we are, text back's like, I hate you. You suck.
John's like, look at this beautiful Greek restaurant we're at.
Right.
Look at this seafood I'm having. And he's taking pictures of it. And I'm like, oh, you suck.
You couldn't come. You were invited.
That's true. I was. It was just a logistical nightmare to get kids and dogs and everything all planned out for that long of a trip. I mean, you're gone for Wednesday through Monday. I mean, that's a long time for Grammy and Peepaw to babysit some children.
Yeah.
So
it's a 4-day event, but you kind of have to come down the day before because it starts at
right.
9 in the morning, and I guess you could leave on Sunday evening, but it's better if you leave Monday. So it kind of adds 2 days to it. So you're right. It's a little long to coordinate all of that stuff at this point in our life, but maybe
I'm glad you got to go though.
Maybe we should have brought the kids, but then you can't take them to the boot camp.
No.
And you definitely can't take the dogs. And then there's the whole issue of 4 plane tickets and all that. So
your video is frozen.
how about now?
Nope, still frozen.
I got audio.
Oh, there you are.
Back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's why Wendy's there and I'm here. And I'm in the high-tech studio over here. Lights everywhere and like all the stuff we don't have at home, So
right.
it's neat. Yeah. Oh, and I thought I'd just show you if you're on video. This is the event that I went to this weekend. Never step into a bank again. Creative deal structuring. I highly recommend it after having attended it. I got some golden nuggets out of this weekend. I can tell you,
Ooh, spill it.
I got some golden nuggets.
Spill the golden
And
nuggets.
of course, I can't give you the whole course, or otherwise, I'm not Larry, right? But I can give you some of the highlights that I got out of this weekend, and I know Wendy wants to hear it too. Uh, but honestly, a lot of it's stuff that there's nothing new in real estate. We hear how many times do you hear that,
Sure.
and it's true. But on the other hand, uh, it's kind of like when we go back and talk about, when you hear the same thing from multiple sources, maybe you should write that down.
Right. Pay
And
attention.
yes, and as far as creative deal structure goes, these are the masters, the Larrys of the world. By the way, Larry has a great podcast, The Real Deal with Larry Harbolt. I highly recommend that one as well. He's been doing this for 30 years, and he's been around the block. This stuff works. This is what he actually used. He's not a guru. He's not, these aren't $30,000, boot camp courses. It's very reasonably priced and it's good info. And Larry himself is the most genuine person you would ever meet.
He really is. We met him at Podfest. You remember that?
Yes, yes,
Had dinner with him. He is a character, man.
he is.
He's
He's
just a
actually a
hoot.
very funny person to be around.
He really is.
But
Just
he's
a great sense of humor. And, you know, he dropped a couple of nuggets on us that short amount of time when we were eating dinner with him. And, you know, it didn't really sink in until a couple of months later. And John comes running outside and
that's
he's like, "Hey, I remember what Larry was talking about. I now understand."
right.
I mean,
Right.
he's just on a whole nother level, you know.
He is, but he's been thinking that way. It part of a lot of it is a mindset, and a lot of it is just experience. It's
Yeah,
just he's been in 1,000 different situations
yeah.
and had to come up with creative ways because he didn't have the money, he didn't have the cash, and so he was forced to be creative.
I
And
love that.
yeah, that's something that Tyler and I were talking about today. That's another benefit of staying here. Honestly, I wanted to have the benefit of, I'm going back. He goes to the event himself, and I wanted the benefit of it being in the car, back and forth. But that's something we were talking about on the way back home today. Is that uh, you know these guys are the legends. I mean, they've been around forever. And Larry, uh, his mentors are guys like Peter Fortunato and Jimmy Napier, and those guys, and they would all kind of get together and come up with all these crazy creative ways to do things, and it's just timeless. It's stuff that you can use today, tomorrow. I can't wait to get back home and start talking to sellers again. That's a lot of what uh, Larry is all about, is how to structure deals and how to talk to sellers, and the things to say, and if you have this situation, here's how you can structure it, or you have this situation, how you can structure it. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking the things I've walked away from because I didn't know how. I didn't see how it was possible to make a deal there. And had I just known some of these techniques, I might have been able to make an offer.
Yeah, this is exactly what we need at this point in our journey is somebody to just kind of help us come up with those creative things to talk to sellers about, and even ways to talk to sellers and negotiation um, tricks and stuff like that. And, you know, if a seller says this, then this is what you say, and even like a really good seller lead sheet would be would be fantastic. Did he give you something like that?
Yeah, the course does come with a lot of materials, and that is one of them.
Excellent. I
He
can't wait to
even
look at that.
he even will give you his contracts and stuff like that. Of course, we always say take those to your attorney and make sure they're legit. He's in Florida, but if you're in another state, may or may not work for you, right? But they're what he uses. So I mean, that's where he's coming from. These are things that I use that he uses. I'm saying I in his place, but these are things that he actually uses. These are techniques that these are the ways that he actually does deals.
I would
So
love to see his seller lead sheet just to compare it with mine, because I'm the one that calls people. I'm the one that talks to them on the phone. But you're the one that is the creative. You're the one that comes up with the creative deal structures.
right. But what you'll recognize is that, if you come to an event like this looking for the magic seller sheet or the magic pill or the, secret inside secret to,
Sauce. The
yeah,
secret
it's
sauce.
not there. There's not a secret to it. There's
Well,
not.
there's
There's,
nothing new in real estate.
they're not selling secrets. What they're selling is experience.
Yeah.
And they're saying, here are situations we've been in. This is how we worked them out.
Yeah.
Here's another situation we were in. This is how we worked it out.
That is
And
so cool.
and a lot of these are deals that you and I or other people would just walk away from because we didn't see a way to get it done. And it was just it kind of blew my mind. So uh but back to we kind of get off in that discussion, but we were talking about what he opened with, and part of it was that inner circle stuff. Um did we talk about the 5 steps of buying real estate without stepping into a bank?
The 5 steps of buying real estate without stepping into a bank.
Yeah, and number 1 is, again, something we hear all the time, find motivated sellers.
Find motivated. Well, we're always looking for motivated sellers.
Find motivated sellers that will give you seller financing terms. I mean, that sounds so silly, but it's true. You know, that was another thing I got from Larry this weekend was you can't always make a deal. Even we just had that whole discussion about there are so many different ways to make offers, and there's, ways you can make offers in situations that you think you can't. But if you don't have a motivated seller, then you might not be able to get what you need.
Well, I called all those people on Friday, and not one of them was motivated.
Yeah. And that's what he's saying. Just don't waste your time.
Well,
Don't
yeah, you
waste your
can't.
time on situations where there's not a way to make a profit. You're into it
Right,
to make a profit, really.
right.
And if there's no profit there, walk away.
Yeah,
There are other deals out there. You just have to go create them,
yep,
sniff them out,
yep,
look for those problems. If somebody really doesn't have a problem to solve, you're just not their guy. You know,
yep,
and maybe that's where Wendy comes in, and she just, maybe they need a retail agent to sell at top dollar. Maybe that's what they need. But otherwise, here's ways we can get the deal done. So I thought that was interesting. Find motivated sellers that will give you seller financing terms. Um, Evaluate properties based on either getting
evaluate
price or terms.
or terms. Evaluate property based on getting either price or term. So that's
Yeah.
saying I I can pay you your price, but it'll have to be on my terms.
Or I
Or
can give you
I
your
can pay you
terms.
your terms, but it has to be my price.
Right. And the way that works out in real life is, okay, well, if you want X number of dollars, I can't pay you that cash, but maybe I can pay you over time. Or
Right.
maybe I can, 50 different variations of how I can pay you over time, or how I can pay you, less and pay you more later, or there's all sorts of different techniques and strategies they have in there. Or it could be their terms. I must have interest. Fine. If you much have interest, then I have to pay you less to compensate. So I can't give you price that you want if you're going to, and a lot of that is a compromise. No, maybe it's part your terms and part their terms, and part the price they want and part the price you can pay. And there needs to be, that's what negotiation is. It's moving that back and forth, all that back and forth until you kind of get to a spot where you're both win-win. You're both getting something good out of the deal.
The
And
sweet spot.
yeah, and you hear that from Larry a lot. He says it like this. He says, "Hopefully, it's a deal that's good for my family, and hopefully, it's a deal that's good for your family."
Oh, I really like that. That really makes it personal, doesn't it?
It does, and a lot of this is the it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it, and
Yes.
and it's your mindset. He has the mindset that if I can't get a deal, if I can't make a profit, I'm going to stop wasting my time and walk away. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. It's it's that mindset that this is one property that's for sale, but I have thousands to look at. So if this one doesn't work out, that's okay. I'm going to go to the next and the next and the next, right? And I think part of that is just mindset. Um, Another thing he said, he says it this way. I've heard it differently, but he says negotiate for profit from a position of power.
That's what you were just talking about.
Well, I said evaluate properties based on either getting price or terms.
But no, what you were just talking about, that they only have one house to sell. You've got
Exactly.
thousands of other houses to look at. You don't necessarily have to buy that house. They only have one house. You don't have to
Right.
buy it.
Exactly. But that's a mindset thing, isn't it? To get over that hump of I think so many people are I got to get a deal. I got to get a deal. I got to get a deal. And they'll try to hammer and hammer and hammer on one thing, trying to, make it work. Right. But realize that if, it's your deal, you're the buyer, you can choose to walk away or make the deal. Right. So it's kind of really in your hands.
Yep.
Right. So there's that. Something else he said, which I thought was really cool. He said, write killer offers that will get accepted.
Right. Killer offers. That's really good, because I think that that is one thing that we really struggle with is what to offer. I mean, what is a good creative way to structure this deal?
Right.
Did he give you a little bit of guidance in that?
Well, yeah, it's getting to what do they want.
Okay.
So
Well,
a
yeah,
lot
we
of
hear that a lot.
yeah, we do, but it's a lot of asking questions. It's getting down to what are they really looking for? Because
Right.
you'll hear Larry say this a lot, and you've heard us say this before, and we've heard other people say it. So write it down, right? People don't want cash. People
They
don't
want.
want little pieces of paper with green ink on it. They want what the cash will do for them.
Right.
And one of the ways he illustrates that, when he's talking to somebody and they say, "Well, I want cash," it's kind of a joke, but if you say everything with a smile, right? But he'll say, so suppose I brought in $100 bills and stacked them up here on the table nice and neat, and maybe brought in some spotlights so we could see them at night, and I came back a month later, would they still be there?
Oh.
Right. And it's kind of making a joke, and then it's ha ha, but it illustrates the point, that it's not the cash, it's what do you want to do with the cash. That's so
Right.
important, and that's partly mindset, is it not? It's because if you think that people just want cash, you're not going to be able to give them what they want, because nobody wants cash. Literally nobody wants cash, but that's a mindset shift to get there. But I thought that was interesting, and why that's relevant to this is you're going to write killer offers by writing offers that solve the problem or give the folks that are selling to you what they want. That's how
Right.
you write a killer offer.
Right.
I
Solve
just
the
thought that,
problem.
yeah, I thought that was cool. And then his number 5 is structure paper for future income.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love it when you talk paper.
Yeah. So that goes back to notes and you know, holding notes yourself and selling on seller finance as well. You know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you can not only buy on owner financing, but you can sell on owner financing too.
Yeah. So, you know, if you it's the same thing. Do you really want cash or do you want what the cash is going to get you? And so if you can figure out a way to get what you want and sell on seller financing, do that because you'll get more value out of it over the long term,
Right.
right? So I thought that was really good. That was kind of what he opened with, and
That's my favorite.
a lot of that is mindset and just kind of changing how you think about going into a deal. Uh, so I thought that was important. Let's see what else do we have in here. I can't give you Larry's whole course, but a lot of it was just, I mean, it was 4 days of stuff, and I'm all exhausted, you know,
Oh,
which is weird because I wasn't doing anything but sitting there, you know. But it's mental, you know, it's trying to pack all it because this was 9 to 5 every day, and so it's packing all that information and trying to extract as much as you can, you know, in a short amount of time. So a lot of it you just kind of have to go home and marinate on it for a while.
well,
Really.
that's the way it was when I went to that notes conference in Tampa back
That's
in
right.
April.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes you a little while to digest all the information that they sprayed at you from a fire hose. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
drinking from a fire hose.
Oh yeah. And even, you know, I'm not a big note taker. So I know you are. You learn better when you're actually writing and taking notes. But for me, usually I do better listening. You know, I feel like if I'm because I have to be focused, you know, it's hard for me to do two things at once. So if I'm writing, I'm not really listening a lot of times. And but at this event, there were so many things that I heard that I just like I got to write that down. You know, so I'm like writing really fast so I can get back to listening to what was being said. So and it's
What'd you
just
write down?
little nuggets. Let me go through my notes and give you some stuff. Uh uh oh, here's a good one. So, and this is just a nugget. This is just a nugget, and I'll throw it out to you. Like, remember when we were looking for, you know, Larry, the best chance you're going to get owner financing is when you target a non-owner occupied, free and clear property. Why?
Non-owner occupied, which means that the owner doesn't live there,
Right.
right? So
So it's
they're
either
they're like
vacant
they're renting it
or
out,
it could be vacant,
or it
but
could be vacant.
either way, they're not living there. It's not
They're
the
not
house
living
they
there,
own.
right?
And the
And
other
it's
part is,
owned free and clear.
yeah,
Like they bought it a long time ago, have been paying on it for a long time, and now they've paid off their loan.
yes. So one of the ways you can find those folks is through list services, right? Like List
Yeah,
Source
list
or
source.
Larry has a lady that he buys lists from, a list broker. But wherever you get them, the way these folks compile these lists is they they can't really tell what you pay every month, but they what they can do is say when did you get the loan and how
Right,
many years was it for?
right,
And so if you got it back in 1975 and it was a 30-year loan, well, it's paid off by now more than likely.
right,
So it's probably free and clear, right? So that's how they're building those lists.
right.
So a lot of folks will look for properties that simply have a lot of equity in them.
Mhm.
So one of those strategies is to say, well, show me notes that were originated at least 10 years ago. They've been paying on them for at least 10 years. But something that Larry pointed out was 10 years ago was the height of the market.
Oh yeah, it was 2008. That
Yeah.
was a bad time to buy.
So if you're looking for stuff that was originated 10 to 15 years ago, that was the height of the market. And
Right.
so you may find that they still owe more than what it there may not be margins there.
Oh,
So you
wow.
kind of,
Yeah.
so that's one of those things that you hear from a lot of folks, but part of that is looking at what period of time that was. So I thought that was kind of a nugget. It's just something I
Oh,
hadn't
yeah.
thought about before,
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. That's a good
but
one.
it totally makes sense. He talks about, how about this one? I posted this one on my Facebook page. It says, "You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real
Real
estate and
estate
then
and
wait."
wait. Yep. I've heard that before.
You heard it from me. I posted it on Facebook
I was before
yesterday
that.
or the day before. Oh, you've heard that before?
Probably Larry.
Maybe, but I thought that was just a little nugget. Just a
Yeah.
little mindset thing.
Yep. That's a good one.
Here's a great one. Once you realize this, price won't matter to you anymore, because
Once
that's
you
kind of,
realize this, price won't matter to you
yes.
anymore.
Once you realize what I'm about to tell you, price will never matter again.
Okay. Tell me.
If you're looking for cash flow, remember you don't pay for your income property.
The
Your tenant,
tenant does. That's right.
right?
Yes.
So why do you
Yes.
care what the
That's
purchase
right.
price is?
Why do you care what the purchase price is?
You're not paying it.
That's true. You're not. Your tenants are paying it. Oh,
So if you're
yeah.
buying for cash flow, do you really care what the purchase price is? And of course, the silly extreme example we've heard before is, I'll buy your property for $1 million if I can pay you $200 a month
Right.
until paid. If I plan to keep it ever forever, does that matter?
No,
I
it
mean, it's
doesn't.
kind of a silly example, but it's extreme to make the point.
Right. It only matters what the payment is because, I mean, you're going to be making money on, I mean, the tenants are going to be paying that plus your profit too, right?
Correct. So they're
Yeah, they're
paying
going to.
off the loan. You're not,
That's right.
if you've structured it correctly.
And then some. Yeah.
So
Right.
I thought that was
Yeah,
just
that's
something that
great.
you need to keep in mind. You know, um,
Okay, say it one more time,
if
just
you're
so I got it.
buying for cash flow, price doesn't matter. Purchase price doesn't matter because you're not the one paying for it. Your tenants are.
Right.
So that
Oh,
part of that is Larry's whole idea is that structure, how you structure the deal makes a lot more difference than the purchase price. But what does everybody go try to negotiate?
purchase price.
Purchase price. And
Yep.
that's the one element, if you're holding it long term for cash flow, is, especially if you're not getting bank financing, essentially meaningless.
Right.
It really makes no difference.
Did he talk about some creative deal structures at all? I mean, I know he did. Do you have any nuggets on that? I want to hear
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, basically what can we change? We can change,
Terms
right. I can change purchase price. I can
and purchase
change
price.
uh the interest rate. I can change lots of things. But if I am holding a rental property long term, there are certain things I can't change. I can't change the amount of rent that it's going to bring in.
Right.
I mean, to a certain extent, I can fix it up, but there's a ceiling on that, right?
Right.
Even as in its best condition, say it rents for $1,000 a month, I can't change that.
Right.
I can't change the fact that there are taxes and insurance on it. These are things we talk about. So you got to take those out. I can't change the fact that there's going to be maintenance. If you own a property, there's going to be maintenance on it. I
Yep.
can't change the fact that people move. There's going to be vacancy. As people move in and out, there's going to be vacancy. I can't change the fact that uh, even if I manage it, we always put property management, as one of our costs. But these are fixed things. So if I can't change the rent and I can't control those expenses, you know, the rent minus those expenses is what's left minus for debt service and profit. And if I require a certain amount of profit, then that tells me at the very bottom of that piece of paper the max I can pay per month.
Right.
And that's really the only number that matters. If I'm going to hold it forever, that's the only number that really matters. It doesn't matter what I pay for it. It matters what's my payment,
Right.
right? And so that's the number that can't change. So a lot of the deal structure is, what are the sellers sensitive to? Are they sensitive to interest? Fine, I can give you more interest. But that means I'm either going to have to pay you over a longer period of time, or I'm going to have to lower the purchase price.
Yep.
If they're price sensitive, they have to have a certain purchase price. That's fine. I need my payment to be this certain amount. Let's adjust the interest and the payoff time to match that payment, right? Uh, that's a lot of it. It's a lot of realizing that you can only pay a certain amount a month, regardless, and matching what the seller wants to get to that monthly payment amount. So it's price and terms, it's interest rate, it's period of time. There's stuff like split funding. So I may say, hey, look, you're asking 100,000 for the property. I can give you 20 grand today. Let's take the other 80 grand and set that aside, and I'll pay you that at some point in the future, because my
Oh,
payments on 20 grand and get me to that number, right? So I may say, okay, I'm going to pay on the 20 grand for 5 years at this payment. And then at the end of the 5 years, maybe I owe you the entire 80 grand, right? And
oh, that's creative.
I've either got to refinance out or sell it. But what I've done is I've gotten control of that property. Maybe the sellers needed 20 grand. Maybe they needed that cash flow or whatever. But I'm eventually getting them their price, but I've had to do it under different terms. So there are all sorts of ways to structure deals like that. Those are just a few.
Oh, that's super creative. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how we can incorporate these things. I'm
Yeah. I mean,
excited to go try it out.
a lot of it is asking questions. It's
Yeah.
it's asking questions. Here's another golden nugget I got from Larry, and it's just procedural thing. But what he does is, uh, actually, here's exactly the way they work. He sends letters. He sends out letters to, in other words, direct mail to non-owner occupied free and clear properties. That's what he does. That's his marketing. That's his only marketing. Okay. When the calls come in, his wife talks to them. Okay.
Okay.
Because if he talks to them, he's going to want to get right down to business and start talking about what we just talked about:
Yep.
price, terms, interest.
This is why you don't talk to the sellers.
Right.
That's why I'm doing it.
So she talks to them. You're right. They have a sheet that she fills out and gets the information. And then what Larry does is takes that and goes to one of his satellite offices that he has all over the world.
McDonald's.
Yeah. The ones with the golden arches.
Yes.
Isn't that funny? So tomorrow you can
Oh
say,
my
I
God,
have
that's so
satellite
funny.
offices all over the world. They're red and yellow. Maybe you've seen them. But he goes there. And that's just kind of being funny. But he really, actually, I think, does go to McDonald's, and he comes up with as many different ways to buy that property as he can think of. As many different ways as he can think of, and not necessarily specific numbers, but concept.
Oh, okay. Like lease option,
Or
subject to,
yes,
yeah,
owner financing,
owner finance.
owner financing with interest, owner financing without interest.
Just an
Take an
option.
option on the property. I could
Right.
all these different ways. He comes up with as
Right.
many as he can think of.
Right.
And then when he goes to speak with the sellers, of course he's building rapport and all these other things we talk about. But what he does was he goes down that list and says, would you do this? Okay.
That's not what he says.
Would
He
you
says, he says, why wouldn't you rather? Isn't
no
that what he
actually,
says?
no, he says, is there any reason you
That's
wouldn't?
what it is. Is there any reason you wouldn't?
You're right.
Is there
Right.
any reason you wouldn't rather do such and such?
Well, yeah. Is there any reason you wouldn't take payments for your equity?
Right. Is there any reason you wouldn't?
Is there any
That's what it
reason you
is.
wouldn't lease me the property
Right.
for this amount, whatever? Is there any
Right.
reason you wouldn't? And what he does is goes down the list until he gets a yes.
Mm-hmm.
I might do that. And then he works the numbers with them there. In fact, he has them
Oh,
do the numbers. So he
he
pulls
has
out,
them do the numbers?
yes, he pulls out that offer that he's come up with at one of his satellite offices and has them fill in the numbers and say, for example, if it's seller financing, here's what it'll rent for, here's what the expenses are, here's how much I can pay you per month.
So does he have all that all ready to go?
Yes, he actually has
Okay.
sheets that he has formula sheets that fill out. But you can do
Did,
this on a legal pad if you want.
okay.
Yellow legal pad. Sit down and go over it. But his point is have them do the math.
Have
'Cause if
them do the math?
Yeah, because if you do the math, it's suspect, right? If they do the math, it's real. They believe it.
Okay.
That's it. That's his advice. So,
Interesting.
and really, that's kind of all there is to it. I mean, that sounds simple, but a lot of the work is getting to the place where you figure out what those people want, and getting to the place where you can get a yes. Give them a price they're happy with. Give them a payment they're happy with. You know, uh, whatever. There's all sorts of different ways to get there.
Well, it's all about solving their problem.
Right. Lease the property. It depends on what their situation is. That's going to dictate what kind of offer they're going to accept. Because basically, what it comes down to is you're going to have to offer them something that's more valuable than what they're giving up, more valuable to them than what they're giving up. And sometimes it's stopping the bleeding. Sometimes it's an income stream. Sometimes it's uh, there's I've heard examples where they have a relative living there and they just can't get rid of them. They don't have the heart to evict them, so they'll sell the property just so the next person can evict them. But it's seriously. So it's part of it's solving whatever the problem is, but it's getting to there. It's getting to um that why, that
well,
real
that's
why.
where that's where questioning comes in, right? When
Yes.
you're talking to them on the telephone, because
Yes.
that's one of the big questions that I ask when I call sellers. Why are you selling? Do
Yeah.
you just need to move real fast, or I mean, did you get a job change? Or you is it too much house for you to afford? I mean, why are you selling such a beautiful house?
Yeah. That's a Larry thing, right?
Yep,
You
that's
know,
where I heard it. Was
why
all
in the world would you sell a beautiful home like this?
yep, and that's exactly what I say.
So I mean, I think that works. Um, but that's mostly what I had for you. I did have
That's
some.
good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I had all sorts of little nuggets. I mean, I can't give you all of them. Go to one of Larry's events, and you can find out. I did like this. I have a couple of aha moments that may give you some golden nuggets that you're like, I would have never thought of doing. Okay, so can I give you this one example, which I think is really great?
Okay, talking to the microphone real good.
You're not hearing
There
me
you go.
well?
Well, the ending of your sentences is dropping off.
Okay, so what I'm going to give you is an example of being very creative, an example of how you can be creative and how you can get a deal done in a way that you would probably never thought of. This is the kind of thing that you can sit in your satellite office and come up with. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a scenario, and this maybe somebody's heard this before. This kind of blew my mind. So this is entitled "How to Create Cash Out of Thin Air When You Need It." And if you take this concept, if you understand this strategy, you'll always be able to create cash out of thin air when you need it. Okay, so follow me. Suppose I need $18,000 to make a down payment and make needed repairs on a house that we're trying to buy. I need $18,000. There's just one problem. I'm
I'm
just
$18,000 short.
I'm $18,000 short of having the cash needed. Okay. What can I do? So, and this comes from an actual story that a lot of Larry's creative deals, they're not just stuff he sat around and thought up. This actually happened. Okay. Uh, what happened in actually his case was it wasn't him, it was a friend of his. But what his friend did is this was in farm country. And his friend went to a farmer that he knew that had a tractor for sale. And this particular tractor was for sale for $20,000. And he said to the farmer, I'd like to buy your tractor. Would you sell me the tractor for 20 grand? And he said, yeah, I would. And he said, would you take payments for the tractor? Right. And you say, why is he buying a tractor when he's trying to buy a house? But follow me. So he goes to the farmer and says, would you sell me the tractor for $211 a month until paid? And they made a deal for $211 a month, $20,000 for the tractor, took the tractor, makes payments to the farmer. Okay.
Okay.
Got on the tractor, drove it down to town, took it to the auction, and sold the tractor for $18,000.
Huh?
Now remember, he bought it for 20.
Well, he just lost $2,000.
Right. But what did he do with the $18,000?
Use it as his down payment on a house.
He used it as down payment and repairs on a rental home. And he got that $18,000 for $211 a month. So who now is really paying the $211 a month?
The tenant is.
The tenant is. So does it matter that he lost, quote, $2,000 on a tractor?
No, because the deal would support the $211 payment that he's making for the tractor that he sold.
Right. And he's not paying for the tractor in the first place. So
Nope,
does
the
it even
tenant
matter?
is.
And so
Yep.
that's an example of being creative
Oh,
and putting that mindset together that I'm not really the one paying for this. The property is, or the tenant is.
right. Oh, dude,
They
that is
literally created
fantastic.
money out of thin air. Had the cash, 18,000 to put down on this property because he went and bought a tractor for $211 a month and sold it at
Whoa.
a loss. Right? Does that kind of
Whoa. Yeah.
blow your mind a little bit?
Yes.
So that's
Holy crap. That's
being
creative.
creative. That's something that you could actually go do. And it doesn't have to be a tractor. Take the
Right.
concept and go do a deal like that, and you'll always have the money you need to do deals. A lot of these are trading for something of value, uh, and being creative.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is genius.
it's genius. It's genius. So that's one of those
That
little
is
golden
genius.
nuggets. You'll sit here for 4 days and you'll be like, I would have never thought to do that. But now it's in the back of your head, and now all of our listeners know that technique. So take that and go be creative. Don't
Yeah.
where I don't have 18 grand. Figure out a creative way to get it and get it
Right.
on payments, get it on terms. Because anything that you can turn into payments, as long as the property will support it, you're not really paying in the first place,
Right.
right?
The tenant's paying for it.
And
Oh, dude.
yeah. So I thought that was kind of one of the closing, examples of being creative. We went through a bunch of examples of how to be creative on particular deals, but that's something that really doesn't pertain to any particular deal. It could be anything. If you need $1,000,
Yeah.
you could go buy something for 2,000 on terms, and so long as the property can support it, I can go turn around and sell that for $1,000 and get my $1,000 that I need. Right? So
Whoa.
it could be any dollar amount. It's just a matter of being creative.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, now I'm going to have to go marinate on that for a little while.
Yeah. So now think about the properties like
Right?
that where you didn't have the 18 grand,
Right.
where you only had if they don't take my 100% seller financing terms, I'm out of luck.
Yeah.
Think about
Well,
the deals you could have done had you known that technique.
yep.
So
Uh,
a lot of what Larry teaches is like that. You're kind of kicking yourself because if you've done any deals at all, you're thinking, well, damn, I could have done that on that house over in Ranlo or whatever,
right, right,
wherever it was. So
right,
I thought that was really cool.
right.
So that's all I got for you for now. I see Emma in the background there in video.
Yes. Well, we know we've reached our limit, so now we are. The pestering is about to begin. So
Yes.
here we
Yeah.
are. And plus, she misses you. So
Yeah, she does. So she wants to see
yes,
Daddy. Hey, Emma.
yes, yes. Say okay. Say hey.
Bye.
You get to see Daddy tomorrow. Daddy's coming home tomorrow.
Mommy, I want
Oh,
to
okay.
spend time
All right.
with you.
I know,
Okay.
sweetie. All right. We got to
All right.
go. All right.
Wrap us up, Wendy. So we.
All right. Quit. Well, thank you for listening to the Cash Flow Couple podcast. We hope you found value in this. If so, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And you can contact us, info at thecashflowcouple.com, or on our Facebook page at The Cashflow Couple. So we'll see you tomorrow, and merci, au revoir. Say bye, Emma. Say merci, au revoir.
Merci, au revoir, Daddy.
Good job.
Bye. See you guys tomorrow.
Bye. Love you. Je t'aime.
I want to spend time